So let's dive into Mother Mary. So her story, as I remember it from Sunday school or just regular Catholic school, Mother Mary, she's in the room. An angel comes in like, hey, you're bringing in this guy, JC. He's going to come in. Things are going to get wacky. Don't worry, you don't have to have sex. It's already in there. The bun's already in the oven. You're good to go. We'll talk to Joseph, kind of thing. And then yada, 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 Jesus is born. And then she's, from my recollection in what I was taught, that she was basically a character in the background.
That's right.
Not very forefront. I don't remember any stories of Mother Mary teaching Jesus. I'm sure there is such story or two. I don't remember them. Maybe there isn't of her teaching him anything as a child, anything like that. And then yada, yada, yada. He's crucified and we see Mary at the cross. And that's basically the end of Mother Mary. We'll get to Mary.
Maybe one other detail. She asks him to turn water to wine at the
There's that little.
She makes that little insertion.
It's a little shady. I've been blocking a lot of those years. So yeah. So there's a couple of little, but she's kind of like not even a co-star, not even a supporting character. She's like a really background character. She's really important up front. She's kind of important at the end, and a couple of drops, and that's it. She's not given her real strength, her real power of what she is doing, because again, the Catholic Church cannot have a female in any sort of power back then. Hence Mary Magdalene, hence Mother Mary, hence why there's not a lot of ascended masters who are in the female persuasion,
that's right,
if you will, because of those things. So the Kuan Yins of the world and Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, those are rarities in the Ascended Master. So what's the true story of Mary? What did she really do for Jesus and for his ministry?
Yeah, well, my entry point for this was my discovery that divine birth was a priestess practice throughout the ancient world, and really a lot of the world, before, during, and after the time of Jesus and Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene. So as I started to piece that together, and I've got, my first two books, one is called The Cult of Divine Birth in Ancient Greece, and the other one is called Virgin Mother Goddesses of Antiquity. And in those, I teased out that even in the ancient Greek tradition, there were women who were practicing various forms of divine conception. The purest form was called parthenogenesis, where they were doing it themselves. They were stimulating the division of their egg themselves. No sperm at all, no male involved at all. And then there were these other stages where, then they started cavorting, like the human women would cavort with these off-planet beings. And it wasn't really it was an astral kind of sex. And this would be like a sacred marriage kind of union. Yeah. And then you had what became the king and queen, the tantric sacred marriage, which was a divine birth, because, as we see in the ancient Egyptian story, the pharaoh would get out of the way. Amun-Ra would come into his body and impregnate the queen. So that was a sacred marriage. Okay. And then we have like a latter type of event which we see explained in the story of Isis, where she's able to mate with Osiris after he's already on the other side by the use of a sacred phallus. So that's a different technology. And that's that whole thing of she could find all his body parts except for the phallus, so she fashioned one out of gold. That's a reference to the sacred dildo that the priestesses in the later period of this would use.
Really?
Yeah, in order to become impregnated by their divine counterpart who was already on the other side.
Wow. But this is all it's mystical practice, essentially.
It's a very deep mystical practice, but it had a real three-dimensional component.
Interesting.
In the human line.
And this is all laid out in ancient texts and hieroglyphs?
Yeah. So I did all this research in ancient Egypt, and William Henry has found the evidence of that now in the Mameses. Okay, so he's really onto that. I mainly did the research in Greece. And then when I was able to look at Mary's infancy gospel, called the Infancy Gospel of James, which lays out the whole story of how Mother Mary was born divinely of her mother, Anne, and then how Mother Mary was trained by the priestesses, and then how she conceived Jesus divinely.